Welcome to Studio One. If you like what you see, like and subscribe and comment.
You look a lot like my friend. Now that I see you on camera, I'm like, okay, that's weird.
I hope that's a good thing.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into it. He's also cares a lot about his own culture, and that's why when I saw your profile, it reminded me a lot of him. How are you doing? How's
I'm
the
doing pretty good. It's actually it's weird. The weather is kind of on and off right now. It's a really heavy rain, then it'll stop for a bit. But other than that, I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Not bad. It's just hot and thought I got heat stroke yesterday, but I'm doing fine.
Okay.
So thank you for coming on to Studio One. We're an artist platform showcasing diverse genres and stories. My name is Mike. Can you please introduce yourself?
For sure. So my name is Chris Chand. I'm a 21-year-old alternative R&B slash pop artist from Toronto, Ontario. Yeah, thank you guys for having me, and thank you for just taking the time to do this. This is awesome.
Likewise, likewise. So in your Spotify bio, you mentioned that you fell in love with music at the age of 5. You also mentioned that music ran in the family, your grandparents being performers. Is that how you caught the music bug?
Yeah, I would say that that's a big reason as to how I got the music bug. Honestly, like everyone can do something musically oriented in my family, so I feel like it's something I couldn't escape. But at the same time, I feel like it's something I probably would have wanted to do, in the future.
Was it any records that really because a lot of people growing up, they listen to whatever their parents are playing or their siblings are showing you. What were you listening to at a really young age, or what were you exposed to?
So my dad, first, long story short, my dad came to Canada, like I think in the 80s. So I was basically just put onto a lot of music my dad would listen to and that he would hear in, like, the clubs and all this kind of stuff. So I'm listening to, like, stuff like Michael Jackson, very upbeat and very groovy and hard to not like, you know what I mean? And even some softer stuff like the Beatles, for example. There's an album called the Love Album, and at a very young age, it was just once you hit play, it's kind of just like you're just in this different world, and that's something that I've really gravitated towards too, because I've always loved kind of creating my own world, and something that people can experience and be a part of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, get lost in for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
So, which part of Toronto did you grow up in?
So technically I grew up in well, I was born in St. Michael's Hospital, so right downtown. But after I was born, we kind of like just moved around, like Scarborough, kind of like I grew up on like around Kennedy Road, moved to like Pickering, Ajax, just kind of thrown all over the place.
Yeah, we landed in Asian Court in '04, and we've been other places, but now we're back here and we're finally settled. So
Nice,
yeah,
man.
it's just,
How do you like it? How do you like it?
I don't know anything different really. It's when I get around close to the area, I feel really at home. It's home, really.
Right.
Yeah. You also mentioned that most of your heroes didn't look like you. I can certainly relate to that. Growing up, who inspired you? Who were those heroes?
Well, honestly, the people that inspired me that looked like me weren't necessarily Indian slash Canadian artists. They're more just strictly on on the east, and like on the east side from India. You know what I mean? Like artists like Ravi Shankar, and you know what I mean? Like all these old, like and not necessarily old, but like they've got a very classical sound. And even guys like A.R. Rahman, he's done a lot of scoring stuff. He's worked with a lot of people, and I'm just like, you know what? He's from where I'm from. If he can do it, why can't I? You know what I mean? And like it always stuck with me as a kid. And I was just like, you know what? I don't necessarily have to conform to what everyone's doing. Yeah, I can make the same kind of music, but it doesn't necessarily have to look like this certain person or a certain sound. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And I think that's about the couple of people that have really like kind of stood out for me that kind of look like me.
You mentioned some, I'm guessing, icons of your culture. So Bollywood culture is blowing up. It has been, I guess, slowly blowing up compared to something like K-pop, where it just exploded like madness. But Bollywood is coming very close to mainstream. A lot of Hollywood people are getting into it, and people from the Chinese film industry are getting into it. Do you think that it's on the verge of going mainstream, or what do you think about the?
I think it's only gonna go up just with the generation that we live in, right? Honestly, things tend to blow up a bit more than they did back in the day, right? And especially a lot of Bollywood movies and songs are trying to follow certain trends that they might have seen or like heard from like the Western side of music and art in general, right? So I think it's only a matter of time where and especially like Priyanka Chopra and Nick Jonas marrying. It's just like it's little things like that that kind of like bring the universes together, if that makes sense. And I think it'll only I think it'll only get better with time.
Is indie music and R&B making a rise in India and your peers? Because it looks like just from the internet, like I guess Vice documentaries, there's a huge hip hop boom right now in the recent years.
Right. I personally think right now at the moment, I think R&B and indie music are slowly creeping into the scene, if that makes sense. I think right now it is, like you said, it's mostly hip hop at the moment. I think at least. But yeah, I'd be curious as to see some R&B acts and like some indie alternative stuff coming from India, because that would be a very interesting take, and I'd love to hear it.
This is kind of coming from my perspective. So
Yep.
growing up as a Chinese immigrant, I saw a divide between those on my peers that wanted to hold on to their culture and those who wanted to assimilate as soon as possible. Is that for the same that you saw?
Growing up, I wasn't really hanging around with too many people that look like me, just because I grew up in a place there's mostly white kids, black kids, and even just like Asian people as well. So it's very multicultural and just a different vibe than what my family would be like. When it's just my family, it's just a bunch of people that look like me, right? But going to school and hanging out with your buddies, I didn't really hang out with people that look like me, just because at a young age, I was very just like, I don't know, like, I don't know if I was nervous or if I was anxious to be like making friends with people that look like me. I don't know. I was a very quiet, shy kid.
Did you feel kind of isolated because there was a lot of people? Because in high school I went to North and it was just all white people. For the first couple of days it was pretty horrible, but like they took me in.
Mhm.
So did you have a similar experience? And which crowds did you fall into?
Well, for me, the crowds that I fell into were more, I'd say like the skater kid, kind of the kids you see smoking in the back kind of crowd. That's what I started off as in high school, and not even high school, even in elementary school. I mean, not smoking at that age, but I mean, I was definitely, that skater kid who listened to rock music and, play hockey and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, like when I was at a young age, I didn't really see people that look like me doing that kind of stuff. So I just assumed like, hey, like this is where at least I think I fit in. So I'm gonna stick around here just because it feels comfortable. And like I said, I was a shy kid, so I wouldn't have necessarily like made the first move to like say what up. It was more like if the situation happened where I'm just like I have to say hi, then I will, and like it'll progress from there. But yeah, no, I was very shy.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of just fell in with the nerdy Asian kids. Yeah. And in middle school I picked up like people pointed me out because it was a very suburban area. People pointed like, hey, stop trying to sound like stop trying to talk black. And like I realized myself too, like I was like 13, 14, I was like, oh, okay, this is not what I should be doing. But I felt so much more related to hip hop culture than well, I think a lot of Asian kids do. Yeah, like I was weird. I realized I was like that one weirdo. Like even the black kids were probably like, "What is this guy like? Just stop doing all that." Yeah, it was an awkward time for sure.
Honestly, man, now that I think about it, now that I've gotten older and I've even like just gone through just experiences in life, right? I just realized like, you know what? I think being weird is the new normal now. You know what I mean? I think if you're not weird, then it's like, oh, what's up with that guy or what's up with that girl?
Mhm.
I think it's I think we got to embrace that weirdness. You know what I mean? At first, when I was younger, I'd be like, shit, I'm weird. You know what I mean? Like I guess I'm kind of like this not outcast, but like this outsider. But now I'm just like, you know what? We're all kind of outsiders in our own way, and yeah, we just gotta embrace that shit.
So this might be a kind of weird question, but on March 24, you tweeted that being single is a bittersweet feeling. So I don't know what it's like not being single. So all I know is that bittersweet feeling sometimes. So can you go into that?
Yeah, for sure. I totally forgot about that tweet. I'm surprised I'm surprised you brought it up. But no, it's like I said, like being single is a bittersweet feeling just because, you know, it's nice to be single and to, you know, work on yourself and, you know, kind of just learn about who you are, right, as a person and just you know, get more knowledge on yourself. But at the same time, I always feel like it's nice to have that person that you can you know, go back to at the end of the day. There's that person that makes you feel wanted. And I'm not saying like your family doesn't make you feel wanted or your friends don't, but it's just like it's a different connection, you know what I mean? And it's nice to have, you know what I mean? And shout out anyone that does get to experience that. But at the same time, yeah, like I said, it's not bad being single, but it's like, damn, it would be nice to be in a relationship sometimes.
From the summer of this might be more sleuthing from my part. From the summer of 2019 to the summer of 2020, you posted on your photo work on your photography Instagram account. I was into photography for a while, about a year or two. Sort of fell into it because I wanted to work in music and I had a camera, so I at least stood out.
Right.
Do you still partake in photography?
Yeah, so I still do here and there, but I actually, yeah, I started taking photography around I'd say grade 10 or 11. There was just I don't know, I've just been in love with all of the arts, you know what I mean? They all have their they're all, you know, some are different in some ways, but at the same time, I don't know, I just gravitate toward anything art related. And I think, you know, at first I was like, okay, I like making music. What can I go to next that I find interesting, right? And I think photography slash film was one of them just because it's like, you know, you're capturing a moment in time and time is a very valuable thing, right? And the photo you took just becomes priceless, you know what I mean? And I think having that kind of thought, I was just like, you know what, and same like you said, like I wanted to take, you know, concert photos and stuff like that because like for me, I love live music and stuff. So, you know, capturing that moment and that feeling and experience, I think it would, you know, it's a beautiful thing. So, you know, I still continue to take photos. I actually took like I think like a year off from taking photos just because you know, COVID and stuff, and I just wanted to be safe and, you know, just take proper precautions. But you know, as things are slowly opening up, I definitely want to get back into like, you know, taking photos for other artists, producers, any creatives, or even if you're not a creative, you know, I just like I'm just a people's person, even though I'm shy, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's weird.
Is there is there like a fly in the wall? Do you prefer to be a fly in the wall, or do you just like to capture moments?
Honestly, I think it's a bit of both. I do like being a fly on the wall where I can capture the moment. You know what I mean? Like very I guess genuine shots are very like, you know, like pretend I'm not even there. You know what I mean? Like I'll just be in the background and people are doing, you know, what they would do on, you know, just it's just real and just pure. And I don't know, I just like, and sometimes it doesn't even matter, even if I'm not in the background. I don't mind, you know, just even just like, you know, taking photos just normally, you know what I mean? I just it's just fun to just take photos and just collaborate with people, you know what I mean? It's a fun thing.
Yeah. What do you shoot with?
So I shoot with a Canon Rebel TX DSLR at the moment. The reason as to why is just because it's the cheapest camera I could find, and I used that camera when I was in high school in my photography class. So I was already kind of used to you know, the settings and the controls and just how it felt and how it worked. So I was like, you know what, let me start off with this. You know, get used to the lenses, all the, you know, different kinds of, you know, film and whatnot, and yeah, just go from there. And I feel like I've gotten a little bit better, you know, with taking photos and editing. And that's the thing, I don't even edit on my laptop. I'm very different. I edit like on like photo apps on my phone just because I don't know, I just like the way it looks. And yeah, no, I just try to get it to, you know, as nice as possible as to how I like it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I that's the only camera I have at the moment, but I definitely do want to like explore and find some new experiments.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned DSLR because I was afraid you were going to film. I would know nothing about film.
No worries.
Yeah, I started with 60D and I still have it. And excellent camera. It's a tank. Um, I think I might have started a little more. I think I should have started with a Rebel or something because it's lighter. But now I have an A6500, and because I haven't been shooting, it's kind of just I'm looking at it right there. Great camera. ISO performance is great. But like if you like, I don't know if you need word advice. Yeah, perfectly fine shooting with whatever camera you have, especially photography. Like just ride it until it dies because like I don't know. I just really appreciate when people hold on to the tech they have.
Right.
Yeah.
And honestly, and that's the thing too. Like I've always been a big believer in you know, use what you have to its full advantage. You know what I mean? Like even like before I even had a camera, like I would just use my iPhone. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, I could still capture this moment and it'll still be there. But it's just like I know people are like trying to go for that more professional look and like, you know, a bit more higher quality. So it's totally understandable. But especially shout out Apple, but like, you know, the cameras are getting so much nicer too. Like even if my camera's dead on the side there, it's like, okay, I can use this as my backup. And you know what I mean? It's totally fine. You know what I mean? I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time before I used to borrow my friend's iPhone or I see other people's pictures, like, what camera did you shoot? They're like, oh, iPhone. And switched an iPhone recently and I don't really need to go back to camera really because it's not like I'm going for something super profound. But now I'm like, oh man, I'm itching for the Pro. Like the Pro has like the lens, like, but like you said, I guess I appreciate people that you know use what they have, but I kind of just spend whatever I have. You mentioned that you want to capture concert performances. Which concerts are the most memorable? Because we've all haven't seen anything in a while.
Right. Well, before COVID, you know, ruined everyone's plans. I was very big into honestly any kind of live music. I would, of course, go to like big concerts. I go to like festivals like Oshiaga, however you pronounce it. But even stuff like that, I would go to. I don't know if you've heard of the place called the Rex. It's like this jazz. Yeah. So I love jazz music. So I'd always just go in there and just listen to whoever's there and just ask them if I could take photos and just capture, any kind of vibe or moments, that I felt was right. And always 9 times out of 10, the band is always cool with it. So it's always a nice experience. And I can't wait to get back, to, seeing anyone live, you know what I mean? And not virtually, you know what I mean? Because I'm a bit over that. And especially because I go to school for music too. So I'm already seeing live virtual performances 24/7. So it'd be refreshing to be, outside, and being present and seeing people perform.
Where do you go to school for music?
I go to Centennial College. It's Danforth.
Yeah, I went to Humber for my bachelor's, and we have a big music program there too. And the studio price is just exorbitant. Like it blows my mind. Like it's offensive to me. But they have their recitals, and I think they're prepping for performances. And like we would pass by their wing, and it's just like beautiful music. There was also once where we kind of wandered into someone's. I think they're having a quartet or something
Right.
performance, and my friend was just astounded. My friend that kind of looks like you, he's a music nerd. Just some beautiful moments with music. So, how did you get your start with Tomboy Records?
Oh, that's a good question. Actually, Cass and I, she's half of the Tomboy Records, but Cass and I actually met in my first year of like the first college I went to. And that was like Durham College in Oshawa. And it was like a music business program. And even when I started, I was kind of a little iffy, but my dad told me I had to go to school for something. And you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, let me try this out and I'll see how I like it. But I realized I'm not the management type. I know it's good to learn those kind of things, but I realized I'm an artist. You know what I mean? I like to perform for people. You know what I mean? And like if you give me like a guitar or any kind of instrument, just go tell me to go sing in front of people, I'll do it. But it's just, I'm not the numbers guy. You know what I mean? And the statistics and all that. Even though it is good to learn that kind of stuff. You know, if you're trying to do things for yourself and whatnot, it is good to learn. And I have slowly been doing that through this new program that I'm in. But yeah, Cass and I, we met while we were in class, and I remember I dropped out, and I saw, you know, a couple of artists that I really liked, and I saw they were part of Tomboy Records, and I was like, how can I be a part of this? So I reached out to them through DM, and I found out, I was like, oh, this is Cass. I went to school with you. What's up?
Mm.
And I sent her like a couple of songs that I worked on, and yeah, they took me in, and we've been together ever since, and yeah, hopefully stick together for a while.
Good story. Yeah, funny enough, I went to school with Kea. I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were classmates, and
Awesome.
she wasn't in class a lot, but I think we both made it out just fine. I skipped a lot of school too. Cool people, man. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Kay is another gem, man. Yeah, no, both of them are like, they're solid, man. Like I genuinely think Tomboy Records is gonna be big. And I've always told them that from the start. Like ever since like I was, you know, I just signed. I was like, you know what, like we're, you know, you guys are gonna get the proper recognition that you guys deserve, because one, you guys are, it's women led, you know what I mean? And it's something that you don't really see in the music industry actually at all, I think. You know what I mean? So I love that they're doing something different. You know, they're taking something that's, you know, been done before, the whole label thing, and they're doing it their way, you know what I mean? And I fuck with it so much. So for them to, you know, include me in their roster, you know, it's awesome, man. I can't wait to like see what goals and accomplishments that, you know, we mark on and check off. You know, it's only up from here, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, when I checked out all you guys' music, and yeah, of course, you guys work on each other's music, so it all felt like and I'm an R&B guy, so it all felt very like it was supposed to happen. Yeah,
Go ahead.
and yeah, I can't wait for your success. But what was it like being featured on a Lyrical Lemonade article?
Oh man, that was crazy. Just because I grew up watching, like when I was in high school, I watched Lyrical Lemonade when it first became a thing. Just like when it wasn't even popping. You know what I mean? I remember I watched Cole Bennett. He'd bring like, you know, before he brought Juice World, and he would bring artists on. I'd be like, you know what, this is fire. Like what he's doing, this is a great concept and a great idea. And yeah, you know, it was just very entertaining. So you know, when I was in high school, that was just what I watched with my little brother, just finding new artists to just check out. And yeah, it's very surreal to have an article, you know, just Lyrical Lemonade and Chris Chan. Like when I see that, I'm like, holy shit, that's me. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a dream come true. And you know, shout out to Chuck, as a buddy / writer from Lyrical Lemonade. So he's been very helpful and very supportive, you know, with the releases. So I appreciate his help. Shout out Chuck if you see this.
Yeah, and now Lyrical Lemonade, they have their own like entire festival. It's like
Right, that's insane.
insane how everything moves so quickly and so well over the years. Yeah. So in that article, you mentioned that your single "Shine" wanted to show someone coming out of darkness through music. So do you use music to relieve pain?
I do. I actually, as sad, well, it's not really that sad. Everyone's got their own outlet / way of doing things. My way is, you know, when I'm sad, anxious, or, you know, when I'm just feeling down, like music is definitely an outlet, whether that's listening to it or creating it. And I think it usually starts off with lyrics, because, you know, a good exercise when, you know, when you're feeling anxious and when you're feeling down is you know, write out whatever's on your mind. And for me, I've always been like a big believer, not even a big believer, but I've just been used to, like, you know, not putting the pen off the paper, just kind of write, and whatever comes out comes out. And you know, after a couple of days when I'm not so pissed off, I'll look at what I wrote, and I'll be like, okay, like that can work with this, and like are think of this situation and how can you create an experience people can either relate to or just vibe to. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily have to have gone through the situation, but it's like if you have, then it's like just know that you're not alone, and that like there's others that have felt like this. But here's a catchy beat to go along with it.
I like how you mentioned, yeah, there's no shame in using music to relieve pain, because I do the same. When I'm bored or when I have something going on, I write everything down. Um, and it kind of just stays on the Google Doc, but it still is quite therapeutic. And
100%. And that's the thing. I've always, for me, like, especially, when I'm not feeling too great, and I've written down some stuff, I'll crumple up the paper. If I don't think it's going to be useful to me, if I think I'm going to be dwelling on it too much, I'll just write it down and I'll crumple it up and just throw it out and just be like, all right, that's all bullshit. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. And I think it's very therapeutic. But yeah, even before making music, I wanted to be like I think I forget, it's a musical therapist. I forget what it's called. But yeah, it's basically you just play music for people that are going through a tough time, and just make them feel better before they unfortunately pass away, or just anything goes wrong.
talk about your newest single, Your Heart. To me, it's a bop, but what does it mean to you?
Wait a second, I'm just gonna switch a room real quick. But yeah, so for me, Your Heart is definitely, like, I'd say it's an experience where, I mean, you don't necessarily have to have gone through it, like I said, but I don't know if it's, I don't know, for me, it's definitely an experience about, having to go through indecisive love, I guess. I think, sometimes you don't know whether or not the person is right for you. And I think, trying to take a risk or take that chance is very, it's risky, you know what I mean? And sometimes scary. So I don't know, for me, I wanted to kind of, not even portray, but kind of show that experience, but not make it too sad. You know what I mean? So I think, especially having Hamlet, do the beat and making it very warm and happy, I think it kind of helped, kind of just, help make it what it is. You know what I mean? And it's definitely a bop. Like, to me, like, I think it's definitely one of the catchiest songs that I've released so far, and I can't wait till everyone else hears the EP, just because although this is one of my favorite songs that I've released, I can't wait for like the other songs to be released and for everyone to experience them, because in my opinion, it's definitely a big jump from what I've done in the past.
Yeah, I'm funny enough, Hamlet's I think manager reached out to me about he's reached out to me for a while about interviewing him and his collaborator. They just seem like very soulful dudes. You mentioned working with him, how he spiced up the track, but what was it like working with Hamlet?
Oh man, it was actually really, really easy. He made it very, very, it was a very smooth process, just because for me, I think that was the first time I'd been in a studio with another artist, or slash producer. And I think that was the first time I'd ever, like, kind of not even, I think, opened up to another person and kind of like, done that before. And yeah, no, he made it very easy for me. You'd say, like, do this harmony here, and I'd be like, oh shit, this is very helpful, just because, I mean, if he wasn't there, I'm not too sure how the track would have sounded. I feel like it wouldn't have been as full. So yeah, no, I appreciate him for everything he's done on the track, because, like, even before we would book studio time, Hamlet and I actually made the beat at a studio the first day we met. And yeah, he's very inviting, very, very nice, very genuine guy. And yeah, no, I just appreciate his energy in the studio and outside of it.
Yeah. So you just mentioned the EP that you're working on. What is the theme? And if you could share the title of the EP?
So the title of the EP is called Indigo. And the reason as to why I called it Indigo is just because of the psychology of the color. And I've noticed with the, like, at least reading up on it when I was younger, indigo has a lot to do with like, if I'm not mistaken, like kind of look like self-awareness, I think. And for me, it's something that I haven't like done when I was younger, but you know, growing up, of course, you know, you kind of reflect and analyze. And yeah, I guess the theme of the EP is about, you know, moving on and realizing that, like, you know, at the end of the day, you got to be there for yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna, people are gonna come and go, but at the end of the day, like you gotta bump yourself up, and you gotta hype yourself up, and make sure you're good first before you make sure anybody else is good.
Yeah. And are you finishing the album, or is it coming along, or?
So at the moment, it's, I mean, we've got a base right now. I mean, before I said I was at 90, like at least 75 to 80%. But I you know, because of my perfectionism and I want everything to sound great, I knocked it back down a couple percentages, and it's back at like 50, 60%. And it's not necessarily like I'm stripping away a lot of the parts in the songs, but it's more like I'm going back, you know, in the listening sessions after a while. So I just want to make sure, you know, it sounds how I want it to sound. Just because, you know, with going to school for music, it's definitely such a positive and a bonus that I can, you know, bring these certain skill sets into my own music, right? And I don't know, I think it's only a matter of time before I figure out what I want to what I want it to, you know, sound like. And for me, a big thing is the transitions between each song. I want everything to kind of sound like it's all one big world. Like once you hit play on the intro, everything kind of just flows into each other. Even though it's like one song was happy, but now the other one's sad. It's like, how do I collide these two worlds together? And I think, you know, with just listening and just being a student and, you know, and just kind of taking in, you know, different projects, especially from Toronto, because Toronto is slept on, in my opinion. We have so much talent. It's unbelievable. In my opinion, I think we're more popping. Like at the moment, Toronto's more popping than like LA at the moment. You know what I mean? And that's a thing that I love, just because, you know, not only just because I'm from Toronto, because I'm an artist too. So to see our city, you know, getting that recognition, I don't know, I think it's cool. And I personally, like, I don't know, I want to shout out like Sean Leon, like Milo, because I saw the project, not even saw, I listened to the projects that they released recently, and I'm just like, this is sonically beautiful. Because I don't know, they hit it with the feels, they hit it with the beats and the production, but it's just, I don't know, everything is so well done. So it's just like, how can I take away from all this and you know, put it towards my own music?
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned a lot there. Yeah. I certainly agree that Toronto has, if not more talent or more excitement, more building, more potential than, you know, a giant like LA. A lot of people in the past have mentioned, or people in certain genres, they talk about how the music industry and, well, here is a lot like crabs in a bucket. But it sounds like maybe because you're pretty young, maybe that's changing in the industry, because it sounds like from your perspective there is a lot of mutual love and appreciation
Yeah, I think, and you mean like in terms of like mutual love in like Toronto itself, right?
among Toronto artists, big upping each other and supporting each other.
I think to a certain degree, there is love, but I think, you know, with any city, in, you know, in the music industry, I think there will be some people that see, you know, the music game as a competition, and it's unfortunate, because I think, you know, I think this is, you know, if we're all if we're all trying to make it out of here, which is something that I love to see, like, you know, like, and it's a big influence from actually the Revenge of the Dreamers project that J. Cole put out. And, you know, you see all these artists and super talented, and, you know, they're putting their pieces, you know, their body, sweat, and tears into all this project. So I'm just like, well, if these guys can do it for one project, I'm sure, you know, like, you know, people in different cities can do this just in general with everyone's, not even career, but with the releases that they put out, right? But yeah, no, for the most part, I do see people big up, and, you know, like, they're always hyping other people up, and always, you know, just showing love and support. And that's what I love. I love when people are like, you know, in unison, and everyone's connected together like that. And it's only a matter of time, you know, before people stop sleeping and realizing that, and they want to join the team, which is fine. We'll let them in, right? But yeah, no, I definitely think for the most part people do show love.
We're used to saying like making it out of here, but we also think we're the shit essentially. We also think that, and we are like the Weeknd, Drake, like it's undeniable. So you think Toronto is going to be one of those places where people actually go to in the future instead of us moving out?
100%. I definitely think Toronto is going to be a hub for, big up and coming acts, and I already think that's slowly already happening. If not, it's already happened. You know what I mean? Honestly, just like artists like Looney, you know what I mean? And we have a lot of fucking talent, potential, and it's only a matter of time, like I said before, people recognize that. And I think, like places like LA and Atlanta, like, yeah, we're competitive, like we're competition with them. But I think like Toronto could be like a new LA. Like people would want to fly to Toronto to work on music just because, like you said, we have Drake, The Weeknd, and you know what I mean, like Justin Bieber, Shawn Mendes, and all these artists that have like, put in for the city, you know what I mean? And I think it's, like I said, it's only a matter of time before that love is shown back in the city from other people.
We know you're working on finishing Indigo, and can't wait to love your music. The most recent single was really great, like you said, really therapeutic, and can't wait to see what happens next with you and Tomboy. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
So thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. It really means a lot. And yeah, no, I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Send me, let's talk in the DM. I feel like, yeah, you remind me a lot of this. Might be weird, but like, yeah, you remind me a lot of my friend. He's a perfectionist. Like he was working on music for a while, and he's such a perfectionist. Doesn't put anything out.
No, I know people like that. But some of my family members are like that. But yeah, I'm like the first one to actually release it.
Yeah. So yeah, can't wait to talk to you again. And yeah, have a good night.
100%, man. Thank you again, and have a good one.